to me is understanding who you are, being comfortable with that, and not agreeing to the hierarchies, like the sexual hierarchies, the gender hierarchies that we already have established today in our society, not having to choose to be masculine or feminine, not having to choose to play into those binaries.
Heteronormative is, to me, just wanting to be like that straight heterosexist component of society that we're all taught is, you know, normal and right. So you want all the privileges that straight people have when it's probably more detrimental for, you know, people to be gaining those privileges because the gap widens, I think.
What kind of privileges?
I mean, I think most notably, obviously right now with the whole Prop 8 thing, that, you know, I think marriage is the best example. You know, there are a ton of gay people who are saying that they just want the right to marry, like, you know, straight people. And while it's like, you know, it's hard to say to someone or try to, you know, talk to someone about it when, for instance, their partner is in the hospital and they just want to get married because they can see their partner, or they want, you know, rights to their partner's estates, or they want to adopt children, or things like that. But, you know, it's like a very myopic way to look at the problem, I think.
It's totally political. I mean, the queer movement is political. Reclaiming the word queer is political. Like, just being a queer person and defying norms like that is political.
Gay, lesbian, trans is different from being queer?
Gay pride, and that it's like fucking sponsored by Starbucks. I mean, and, you know, the way, I mean, that I think, you know, gay activism, it really used to mean something. You know, it was about, we talked about AIDS, we talked about, like, housing and, like, and homeless, you know, gay people, and, like, but now it's like, it seems like all that political has just been, like, drained, and, like, all that we care about now is marriage, which I don't think is really what, like, the community of who started sort of gay activism is necessarily what they would want, like, what they would have seen, like, the future of gay activism.
Yeah, regardless of who you're dating, saying that you're queer means that you have, like, I guess, like, heightened sense of where privilege is and how it affects people.
Someone I know identifies as gay, but does not think that trans people exist, or thinks that's really horrible. And while this is very, very, very troubling and upsetting for me personally, based on the fact that the people who I love and live with and are a part of my friend community are trans, the fact that this person doesn't believe that identities like that can exist means that I really don't think this guy could be part of a queer community.
Someone who is queer can look like anything?
Someone who's stereotypically queer looks like me.
Queer maybe looks like flannel. It may look like Gucci. It may look like thrift store finds.
Like you, like me, like that person over there, like people's moms, like, you know, guy sitting on the bench at the park, like everybody. I don't think it's a looks thing, you know?
Identifying myself as queer, as pansexual, related to my sexual orientation or sexual identity, I think encompasses the fact that I'm attracted to people regardless of their gender identity.
I felt like the whole concept of gender was over my head. I couldn't understand it. But for the most part, growing up from a feminist, you know, with a feminist mother in a very radical household, even then those things are not even talked about.
Along with queer sexuality and understanding queer sexuality, you have a better understanding of gender roles and being able to also understand the fluidity of gender, and that, you know, and just that, you know, we don't have to adhere to those binaries.
So, you know, there is a long history of the term queer being used in a derogatory manner for people before you know, before, you know, Stonewall, before people were really out and proud about being out. And I think queer came out of a struggle to sort of potentially divorce, you know, issues of class, of race, of gender from what mainstream LGBT society was all about. And I think in those moments, queer has been reclaimed, and it's a process, you know, what queer means today or in one group of folks may mean something completely different from another group of folks.
I think it's been reclaimed. I think it's still being reclaimed, and every time I hear it, I don't think of it in anything but a positive context. And like, I always have these connotations of like support and community and love and organizing and like all these things. So I definitely think, in my mind at least, it's been reclaimed.